Hello, I'm back again after a year to do another very early Best Picture prediction for 2027's Oscar ceremony, celebrating the films of 2026. Uh, I will do probably a reaction to my old video in March after the Oscar ceremony, but just putting this one together since I used the exact same template that I built for the old one. I didn't do very well. Um, did not see Sinners coming. Did see Hamnet and Marty Supreme though, so that's good. Um, so this year, I think I think 2025 was somewhat disappointing the year overall, and I am expecting 2026 to be significantly better. This is a very, very strong year. I kept less movies overall on this on a lot of the categories here. Um, Mostly just because I'm lazy. Um, and there's also quite a few more blockbusters because I think the bigger movies that this year are going to be actually very good. Um, so starting with Best Picture, I've got Martin McDonagh's Wild Horse 9. I think this is the pretty popular pick to win at this stage. It's being distributed by Searchlight, who took a year off last year from the Oscars, and this is a it's a movie that takes place in Chile. It's about a CIA agent, got John Malkovich, Sam Rockwell, and Steve Buscemi. Um, Most of Martin McDonagh's movies are pretty Irish, so I enjoy the little "this doesn't actually take place in Ireland" thing that's on the poster. Um, but I think this can win over a lot of the other larger contenders just because like Martin McDonagh's never really won much. Um, and I think it's kind of his turn to win Best Picture. Like if if Nolan had not won for Oppenheimer, I would be saying The Odyssey would be winning this year. But he did win for Oppenheimer, and they're not gonna give back to back wins to him. Or at least I think they're highly unlikely to. So I am picking Wild Horse 9. It just seems like the best bet out of the um, other movies that are here. Um, for the Best Picture nominees, um, I have, I guess, 2 through 5. I've got The Odyssey, Michael, Disclosure Day, and Narnia. So I think you can see what I mean by this is going to be a blockbuster heavy year. Um, the Odyssey is fairly self-explanatory. It is a Christopher Nolan's follow-up to um, Oppenheimer. Michael is going to possibly be the biggest movie of the year. It doesn't need to be good. It's a music biopic that's going to make $1 billion. It's getting into Best Picture. Disclosure Day, Steven Spielberg's new movie. If it's really good, it'll probably end up here. I think this could be seen as a kind of send off, perhaps, to Spielberg, who I think is turning 80 this year. Like yeah, so I think he could win for this. Um, and then Narnia, the Magician's Nephew, think this is kind of going to be kind of like Barbie. It's just going to be here. It's going to be in Best Picture. It's going to collect some tax. I think it'll be a bit weaker than Barbie overall, actually, because I don't think it's going to be quite the same phenomenon. So it's not going to get acting nominations, but I think it'll be like the big tech player that makes it into picture without any above the line um, like backup, like the Odyssey and Disclosure Day and Michael will have. The other five I have in Best Picture currently are Digger, Alejandro Iñárritu's new film with Tom Cruise, rumored to be a musical about the end of the world. Um, I am very excited for this. It could be very weird. I, yeah, but I just think that it is another, like, it's another big budget, big swing. And if it pays off, I think it ends up here. Adventures of Cliff Booth. Um, oh, the Oscars do not like sequels. You'll notice Dune 3 is not here. Um, so it's very rare the Oscars do sequels. I think The Adventures of Cliff Booth are different, is going to be different enough from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that it will result in a spot here, especially with David Fincher's direction. Um, and I have it being Netflix's big push as well. Cry to Heaven, Tom Ford. I've never actually seen a Tom Ford movie, but apparently his movies are all fantastic, and he's gotten some Oscar nominations for his actors. I think Cry to Heaven could be like last year. I guessed Sound of or The History of Sound by Oliver Hermanus was going to get into Best Picture, and it was going to be like his year to break out. And I was very wrong on that. But I'm gonna just guess that it's Tom Ford's year this time for Cry to Heaven. Um, Fjord by Christian Mungiu. I feel like I have to have a foreign film, and this seems to be this year's like sentimental value. This is not in terms of like, well, not in terms of subject matter, but it does have Renata Reinsve in it. But it's also just seems like the guy who's had some success, like Christian Mungiu, the director. He's had some success in the past, but he has never really broken through. Um, and he could again be the foreign film that makes it in this year. Jack of Spades by Joel Coen. Tragedy of Macbeth barely missed in 2020, and Jack of Spades. I just have a good feeling about it. Also in the running, The Social Reckoning. I think I'm a lot higher on this than a lot of other people. I really like Aaron Sorkin's dialogue. Yeah, he's not as good of a director as Fincher for The Social Network, but I don't think it should. I think the calling it The Social Reckoning is more of a marketing ploy. I don't think this is really something that we should consider a sequel to the Social Network. It's just about the same subject, or a similar. It's both. They're both about Zuckerberg being a dick. Um, the Entertainment System is Down by Ruben Ostlund. Triangle of Sadness was an interesting movie, and it made it into picture. I think this is going to be a very strong year. I think he'll have a harder time getting in this time. But yeah, he could. I wouldn't be shocked if he did. Josephine is the big movie out of Sundance, directed by Beth de Arajo. Doesn't have a distributor yet, but I have heard that this could be. I guess this could be like a picture screenplay thing. Um, Death of a Salesman. I actually don't know if this is coming out this year. Um, I haven't had any word if it's actually started filming yet or not, but I did enjoy Till. And the screenplay is being done by Chukwu as well as Tony Kushner, and then Jeffrey Wright is in the lead. And Death of a Salesman is a very um, it's a very acclaimed play that hasn't had a huge cinematic adaptation just yet. Werewolf is the Robert Eggers follow up to Nosferatu, and yeah, it's Nosferatu came surprisingly close. I think if 2026 was a weaker year, Werewolf would be in. Again, it's one of those ones where I'm sitting here at the start of the year, I'm like, I'm not betting on it, but like it could happen. I wouldn't be surprised. The Rivals of Amziah King is a movie that would be in if it had a distributor that wasn't Black Bear. I don't think Black Bear really knows how to campaign for the Oscars. Matthew McConaughey's big comeback. The movie is, from what I've heard, very ambitious and very successful on its very unique story and filmmaking style. Um, so hopefully it gets a big wide release, but I don't know if Black Bear is going to be able to market it so that it remains profitable. Um, Dune Messiah, again, this is a sequel. It's going to like a third in a trilogy, and it's going to weird movie. This is not Return of the King, which just wraps things up nicely. This is going to be a very weird movie, and I think audiences are going to like this less than the previous one, and it's going to likely do fine at the box office, but it's also probably limited to a few techs. Being Human, Sean Hayter's follow up to Coda. Um, it's just about it's another disability um, movie about a I think it's about a sit-in in a yeah like a it's about a protest um and about for disabled people and stuff. It's I liked Coda a lot. Um, so I have it up here. It could be just like a very feel-good movie. Um, Project Hail Mary by Lord Miller. I think this is just coming out too early in the year, in a year that's stacked. It could rise if some of the other blockbusters falter. The Drama by Christopher Borgli. Um, Again, I don't think this is actually going to be that big. It's more of a case of A24 doesn't seem to know what it's doing this year. Like if we go back, it has the entertainment system is down, but um, and then it has a couple others later on. But Borgley is someone who could get through, especially with Pattinson and Zendaya. All of a sudden, there's a new film from Ryosuke Hamaguchi. He did Drive My Car. Um, this is like it's a French film, so it could be submitted by France, I believe, at the international feature. Um, but which is actually the only reason I have it on here because I don't think he's making movies that are that interested in pursuing awards. Whereas, like if it was in Japanese, it might not break out of that break out of like the film nerd area. Whereas because it's French, um, because with the Japanese, like they will submit something completely random half the time or I shouldn't say random. They don't necessarily they don't submit the most accomplished filmmaker. They won't submit the movie that will has the biggest chance of success. They'll submit the movie that they find is either like most interesting or feels like it could benefit from a boost um, from the visibility of being submitted to the Oscars. And so I don't think all of a sudden would have been submitted by the Japanese, but it could be submitted by France, which would be a much bigger deal. Um, or it's the same deal as getting submitted by Japan, but like it's I think more likely to happen. Especially as I don't know of any big French movies coming out this year. Um, and then Ink, Danny Boyle. I just watched actually 30 years later for the 28 years later for the first time, and I loved it. I like Danny Boyle's very eclectic style. Um, this is about Rupert Murdoch, and it's a biopic directed by a guy who has directed successful biopics in the past. He did Steve Jobs. Um, I think this could actually do something. Saturn Return, Greg Kuidar, director of Sing Sing, and it's His producing partner is Clint Bentley, who directed Train Dreams, and Greg Kuidar worked on that film as well. So they just seem to be alternating films. Um, that's why I've got it up here. And it's being distributed by Netflix. I think there's only the second Netflix film I have on here. No, it's a third. I forgot Narnia was a Netflix film when I said Cliff Booth was going to be Netflix's big push. But I think this could be like Train Dreams. Like if either Netflix or Cliff Booth falters, Netflix is I think going to be pushing Saturn Return. Tony, Matt Johnson. I love Matt Johnson. I love Blackberry. I love Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. And I think this movie and he cast Dominic Sessa as Anthony Bourdain, and I think that they are a perfect pairing of actor and director. And so I think this movie is going to do very well just based off of that. Matt Johnson is a crazy person, though, so we'll see how well it does on the campaign trail. Because I don't think he's going to play nice. The Wait is a movie, and The Invite. Those are both movies out of Sundance that got a lot of acclaim. The Invite actually looks like A24 picked it up. I should probably put this quite a bit higher, knowing that A24 is involved. Um, and then The Wait is seems to be like a classic kind of adventure crime film with Ethan Hawke, and The Invite is a kind of comedy about two couples, one of which invites their upstairs neighbors down to them, and then and is yeah, directed by Olivia Wilde. I haven't actually seen Booksmart, but I really liked Don't Worry, Darling, and I think that's only because I saw it in a packed theater in a premiere. But even though I think it ultimately fell apart, um, I liked the her direction work on it. I liked how ambitious it was. I liked a lot of things. I liked enough about it that I can say I enjoyed that movie. I Play Rocky, the biopic of Sylvester Stallone making Rocky. This seems to have some drama behind it, and I don't think Sylvester Stallone is involved at all. Peter Farrelly directed Green Book, and he that hasn't really done a whole lot since then or before then. At least not in terms of like dramatic movies that do well at the Oscars. This will probably not happen, but it's a biopic directed by a previous Oscar winner, so I can't exactly ignore it. Artificial, Luca Guadagnino. He disappointed me greatly with After the Hunt last year, but Artificial could hopefully be a return to form for him. It follows a few days where Sam Altman got fired from OpenAI. And then Clara and the Sun. I basically just have this on here because I love Taika Waititi. I didn't come out last year. It was one of my most, I think it was my most anticipated movie last year. This year it's only my second most anticipated movie, behind a movie that will not be on any of these lists, but Look Back by Hirokazu Koreeda. Um, Possible Love by Lee Chang-dong. A lot of people really like Lee Chang-dong, so I have it here, but I don't think this is actually going to do anything. It's I think a bit too far down the Netflix totem pole. I Yeah, it's probably going to be extremely slow moving. I don't think it's going to be to the Academy's taste that much. Sense and Sensibility. Uh, New Jane Austen adaptation. This is probably way too low. It probably would be higher if yeah, it probably should be quite a bit higher. Um, and then Georgia Oakley had some success with a movie called Blue Jean a few years ago, not at the Oscars, but at the BAFTAs. And Behemoth, as someone who has Andor in his top three TV shows ever made, um, I think Tony Gilroy does his best work on specifically um, political stuff. and Behemoth is not a political movie. It's about a musician returning home. And so I'm kind of iffy on this. It seems to be Searchlight's second priority behind Wild Horse 9. So it could get in. Searchlight's very good at. Searchlight can put two movies in, but I would bet on Wild Horse 9 significantly over Behemoth at this point. Best director, I think Steven Spielberg's going to win for Disclosure Day. I think if this is as good as I'm hoping it's going to be, then I think Spielberg takes it. He's very like he is on a technical level one of the best living directors, and just the fact that he's 79 and putting together an epic sci-fi film, um, I think an original one too. I think it could happen. Other director nominees: Nolan, McDonough, Inarritu, and Fincher. It's just the probably three most, um, yeah, Digger and The Odyssey are going to be very epically shot at times. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a Netflix movie, which gives some pause, but Fincher has got in on Netflix movies before. And McDonough is, I have it winning Best Picture, so I put him in here as well. Director contenders, obviously Greta Gerwig for Narnia. I think Gerwig is a fantastic director, and I think a big special effects heavy Netflix movie is just going to probably hold her out for a bit. Um, I'd be happy to see me proven wrong. I think like if this movie is very good, I'm hoping she does get in, but I and Netflix isn't known for their big visual effects spectacles. Christian Mungiu for the Fjord, Joel Cohen, Tom Ford. Like you have the rest of my Best Picture predictors, and then I've got Ostlund, Eggers, Hamaguchi, and Boyle for ink because Boyle is very unique at his direction. Hamaguchi um, is could be like a director is just tossing him in, as they sometimes just do with a foreign film. Ostlund has is a previous nominee for Triangle of Sadness, and then Eggers. It's just his films I think are so well shot that he's gonna get an Oscar nomination for director at one point. Screenplay, give it to McDonough for Wild Horse 9. If it's I have it winning Best Picture, and I think it's winning Best Picture off of the strength of its screenplay. I also have Jack of Spades, Fjord, The Entertainment System is Down, and Disclosure Day. Um, Coen Brothers, or I guess this is just Joel Coen, but he's been significantly more successful than Ethan since they split up. And I think Jack of Spades, I just have a very good feeling about it. And again, they're also known for their screenplays being very good. Fjord, um, I just it's an original screenplay that is high up on my list. I have it nominated for Best Picture. Same with Disclosure Day. Um, and then an original sci-fi movie. If it's really good, it'll hopefully get in. And then the entertainment system is down just because I think this is probably where Ostlund. Um, yeah, I have Ostlund getting this, and think with he's not getting director or picture this year, but I think it's going to be like I have it like what 11 or 12 or something. It's going to be getting some above the line nominations. Other contenders, all of a sudden, Digger. Uh, I have Digger being more on a technical and acting thing than an actual screenplay. Josephine, the drama, Tony, Behemoth, The Wait, and Saturn Return. Like Saturn Return again, like Sing Sing, Train Dreams. They were both screenplay nominations. Uh, the Wait just feels like a very classically made movie. It's probably not going to get nominated. I would say it's probably that and the drama are the least likely out of these. Josephine, yeah, big contender out of Sundance, and then Behemoth and Tony. They're just movies that I am rooting for. Adapted screenplay, I'm giving Tom Ford Cry to Heaven. Um, and this is if I think Cry to Heaven is making into picture and adapted screenplay is pretty weak this year, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't go to Tom Ford here. He's never won before. I don't think he's even actually been nominated before. And if this movie is very, very good, well, hopefully it gets in. Um, I should mention, A Cry to Heaven. It's also a lot more Oscar friendly than I think some of his other movies, which I think are more thrillery. Cry to Heaven is um, it's about eunuchs in Venice. So it's a period piece. Other adapted screenplay nominations: Tarantino for Cliff Booth, Nolan for The Odyssey, Sorkin for The Social Reckoning, and then James Graham for Ink. Um, and yeah, these are just kind of, I think, in my mind, the biggest adapted screenplays of the year. And then other contenders: Sense and Sensibility, Being Human, Death of a Salesman, The Death of Robin Hood, and The Invite. Death of a Salesman, I think, actually is almost certain to get in if the movie is released. I just don't know if the movie is coming out or not. Um, the Invite is actually an English language adaptation of, I think, a Spanish movie, and I don't think that movie is actually super well received. So I think that is a point in favor of the Invite being a nominee because it seems that she did that. They improved on the original. Um, Sense and Sensibility, big Jane Austen adaptation, and Being Human. Another book is Sean Hayter. She got nominated and won for Coda. And this, I wonder if The Death of Robin Hood is going to be Sarnowski's breakthrough in adapted screenplay. Probably not. Um, I don't have The Death of Robin Hood in very many places. I think I actually forgot to put Hugh Jackman anywhere on my best actor predictions. But it could be a below the line contender. I just think that this movie is going to disappoint a lot of people because they're not expecting it to be a slow burn with very little action. And I think that's going to negatively affect um, its impact at the award ceremonies as well. Animated feature. So animated feature this year, I don't really have any foreign films that are standing out to me. So I'm picking Wildwood to win, which um, I thought it was coming out last year, got delayed to this year. I love Leica Studios. I think Travis Knight is a fantastic director. Wildwood is some of my friends and my like we are have been anticipating this movie for a while. It looks fantastic. I saw Coraline in 3D a few years ago, and they had a preview of Wildwood on there that looked really good. And then this is where it's obvious that I don't know what's going on internationally here because I have Toy Story 5, Hoppers, Goat, and Forgotten Island. Um, Toy Story 5 because Toy Story never misses. Hoppers because I am hoping it's a return for form for Pixar original films. It is looking pretty good. Goat is supposedly quite good. I have not seen it yet, but I've heard the animation is fantastic in it. And then at the end, there's three movies. There's Hex, which is Disney's new movie, and I am feeling like Hoppers is a better bet than that. And then like Hoppers could feels like this year's Elio. Um, then Toy Story 5 is like this year's Zootopia 2. Um, whereas Hexed is, yeah, I don't know, I just don't get good vibes from Hexed. And then um, Ray Gun, which is a new Brad Bird movie that he's been wanting to make for like 25 years. And I'm excited for Brad Bird to make another animated film, but it's from Skydance, and Skydance has a very poor track record in their animated projects. So I picked Forgotten Island as the last one here. Um, don't really know much about it other than the premise of two friends going to an island, and the only way to escape is to forget each other. And it's made by the team behind Puss in Boots: The Last Witch, which is one of the best films of the decade. Best actor, I have John Malkovich winning for Wild Horse 9. I think he is like it just from what I've heard, he is incredible in this movie. It's a pretty juicy role of a CIA agent who feels betrayed by his country. Um, and yeah, so I think he's gonna get his win. And then we have the other nominees. Again, I think Dominic Sessa and Matt Johnson are a perfect pairing, and I think he could get nominated even if the movie doesn't do anything else. Um, Nicholas Holt in Cry to Heaven. Um, I mean, I'm guessing at who the lead is in this movie. It's either Nicholas Holt or Aaron Taylor Johnson, or maybe they're both leads. Um, but in general, studios tend to be too cowardly to put two people in the same category. Um, Jafar Jackson for Michael. He's just gonna, come along with that movie. That movie's just gonna get like 6 or 7 nominations and $2 billion. Tom Cruise in Digger. This is, I think, his first prestige movie in a long time, and I expect him to be really, really committed. And it's maybe a musical. I don't know. Other contenders, Matt Damon for The Odyssey, obviously. I just feel like the um that movie, like stiff, maybe isn't the right word. It's going to be a bit too classical. It's not going to be show. The performances aren't going to be showy enough to get into the acting. Um, Sebastian Stan for The Fjord. Um, in Romanian film. He is Romanian, which I don't think a lot of people realize that he grew up in Romania. Um, and then Andrew Garfield in Artificial. As much as I did not like After the Hunt, I really liked Andrew Garfield in that movie, and I'm excited to see what he could do in a good Luca Guadagnino movie. Uh, Josh O'Connor in Jack of Spades, the Joel Coen movie. He kind of just has to be here because I mean Josh O'Connor is a very good actor, and I think if he gets in, it's probably going to be in lead for Jack of Spades and not in supporting for Disclosure Day. Um, and then Brad Pitt, he's here because he's Brad Pitt. He's playing Cliff Booth. He's not going to win. I don't think he's going to get nominated either, but he has to be in the conversation because he's won for this character before, um, which is also the reason why I don't think he's getting nominated again. Um, Pedro Pascal in Behemoth. If I was a bigger believer in Behemoth, I'd be saying Pedro Pascal is coming for his first Oscar nomination. Um, Nicolas Cage plays John Madden. I think the movie is actually about the creation of like the football game, like the video game. Um, and it's Nicolas Cage doing a biopic from a guy, David O. Russell, who has gotten actors wins before. However, David O. Russell is a terrible person, and his being kind of like his movies have not done great over the last few years since it came out that he is a pretty abusive person on set. Um, so um, that even like if Cage is undeniably good in this role, I think he could get in anyways. Um, Matthew McConaughey, again, like the Rivals of Isaiah King. This is more me not trusting Black Bear as a distributor, because from what I've heard, he is worthy. Jeffrey Wright, Death of a Salesman. Again, I don't know if this movie is coming out this year. I don't believe it has started shooting yet. Um, but if it does, he's probably getting in. And Guy Pearce in Ink. Um, I believe he plays Rupert Murdoch. And he got his first nomination for The Brutalist. a couple years ago, and I think he's a bit more accepted and is on a big career renaissance right now. Actress, this is a wasteland. There is almost nothing in actress this year. Uh, so I have Renata Reinsve winning for Fjord. Some people are talking about her winning this year for sentimental value, but I think that is um, kind of a stepping stone to a victory this year for her. Um, as I said, I think like foreign actors have won Best Actor before. I don't know if they've won Best Actress actually. But if someone's going to do it, I think Renata Reinsve is a pretty good bet to have it, and this is a weak year. So the other ones I have Dunst for the entertainment system is down, and Emily Blunt for Disclosure Day, Mikey Madison for The Social Reckoning, and Ruth Madeley for Being Human. Um, again, I don't actually know who the lead in entertainment system is down is. I'm guessing it's Kirsten Dunst, and she's here because it's a weak category. And then and the entertainment system is down is probably going to get a few above the line nominations, even if it doesn't get into picture. Emily Blunt is here in Disclosure Day because, well, there's only two Best Picture nominees that I have right now that have women in lead roles, and I gave Renata Rines for the win, and so I was like, I should probably like she's probably going to come along. Like Disclosure Day will have to have someone come along in an acting category, even if the movie like it doesn't seem to be very acting heavy. Uh, Mikey Madison in The Social Reckoning. She plays Frances Hagen, a whistleblower at um, at Facebook, and I mean she obviously just won for Honora, and in a kind of weaker year, I think we can just look at she's going to probably give an amazing performance um, in this role, and I think that's good enough just to put it in knowing that she's probably a safe bet to give an Oscar-worthy performance. Ruth Madeley, I think she plays the real life woman. I think the woman's name is surname is Human. Um, and I believe Ruth Madeley is actually disabled. I think she is in a wheelchair. I could be wrong about that. My research for this video is pretty poor. I have a significantly less time on my hands than I did last year, and I just I have human in a couple categories, and I think she's probably um going to give one of the better performances of the year, and I think the Academy is going to eat up like a disabled actress playing a disabled character. Not necessarily the right reason to award somebody. Um, but yeah, I think it's gonna. Um, I think she's gonna get in because of that. Not just because of that. I think she's also going to be probably worthy. And then I started having to do a little bit of digging to find other actors. Number six is actually probably it's actually Stacey Edgar Jones in Sense and Sensibility. Um, I Daisy Edgar Jones, she is solid in everything that she's in. Um, but I she could jump quite a bit with Jane Austen adaptation from I think Georgia Oakley's last movie was known for its performances, so we'll see if she can elevate Jones into an Oscar level actress. Brosnahan in Saturn Return. Um, again, this is if Eve, I think she stands probably maybe a chance. Eve, I mean, they don't even know if she's the lead in this, but um, she could. I don't actually even remember what Saturn Return is about. I think it's a bit more down to earth um, than the name implies, but I think she could probably. She's the name that I just kind of gravitated to on that cast list. Um, and I needed somebody, an actress, because there wasn't a whole lot else. Olivia Wilde in The Invite. Um, I have her here because I believe The Invite might do something. Yeah, um, but just based off of its reception at Sundance. Um, Angelina Looking Glass. She is for the rep. I think I might have misspelled her name. I think there's another G in there. I think it's Looking Glass. Um, oops. Anyways, for the rivals of Amaziah King, I've heard she's the standout of the movie, and reading the plot description, I think she's the lead. I think she is like as much of a lead as Matthew McConaughey, if not more. Um, and yeah, man, she'd be in if it had been picked up by a studio that wasn't Black Bear. And then Julianne Moore. There's Jesse Eisenberg has a musical coming out this year. I don't know anything about it. I was not a big fan of A Real Pain, but he did get Kieran Culkin an Oscar for that. So, but I'll put one of the actors from there on my contenders lists. Supporting actor. I have not changed this slide from last year. I still think Coleman Domingo is going to win from Michael. It didn't happen last year because Michael didn't come out. Um, And then Steve Buscemi, Wild Horse 9. I think Buscemi's an actor I like a lot. I just watched Fargo for the first time recently, and I thought he was fantastic in that. Jeremy Strong in The Social Reckoning. He plays Mark Zuckerberg, and Strong is he got in previously for playing a very unlikable person, and it's supporting actors so hard too. But the supporting not is so difficult to do at this stage that that's essentially all I have to go on. John Goodman and Digger. Um, I don't know, maybe I'm hoping here, but I think Digger is going to do well on the acting front. Yeah, and it's going to be, I think, an acting and tech player. And then Hawkins, Corey Hawkins for Death of a Salesman. Uh, as I haven't been putting other Death of a Salesman people in so far because I don't know if the movie's happening. But in supporting actor, I don't have enough information on other movies. And Corey Hawkins' role, I can't remember if he's playing like Happy or Biff. I think he's playing Biff. If he's playing Biff, then I think he's probably getting in for this movie when it comes out. And so I think he's a sure bet than the other nominees if the movie comes out. But also, I don't know if the movie is happening or not. Or I know it's happening, but like this year. Other contenders: Sam Rockwell for Wild Horse 9. He's won for a McDonough Wood movie before, Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And I just really like Sam Rockwell. Jeremy Allen White for The Social Reckoning. I think he can maybe get in. I think that the other two actors, Mikey Madison and Jeremy Strong, probably will have juicier roles. Alan White plays a journalist. Aaron Taylor Johnson for Cry to Heaven. Um, and I don't think I've seen him in a role like this. Where he plays a eunuch. Um, but I think Holt plays a eunuch, and I think Johnson may or may not play a eunuch. I'm not quite sure, but I think this is going to be very different from what we've seen from him before. So I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen here. Um, Mark Ruffalo in Being Human, and Jack O'Connell in Ink. Again, just rounding out the actors who I think are very good in movies that I think might do something, more than knowing a whole lot about their roles. Best Supporting Actress, I have it going to Sandra Uller for Digger. She got nominated for Anatomy of a Fall, and arguably should have won, but um, yeah. Again, I don't really know what's going on in supporting actress at all, so I thought, huh, she's probably the most talented performer. So, and she's in a big, most talented performer in a big movie. Let's put her in. Um, Now I have Samantha Morton, Entertainment System is down. I'm just a big fan of Samantha Morton and hope this happens. I don't know. I think Entertainment System is down might be too much of an ensemble piece for any one person to actually get nominated, but um, yeah, she's been the standout in every movie I've seen her in. Elizabeth Debicki, Adventures of Cliff Booth. Um, I didn't realize till putting this together how much she looks like Rooney Mara, who David Fincher has directed to an Oscar nomination in the past. But yeah, Fincher is very good at actors. If this movie is something, then I think a supporting performance. I think Fincher tends to be better with getting lead performances in, but his lead performance in this movie is Brad Pitt, who's not getting nominated for the same role that he won for. So I picked Debicki because she was high up on the list and I know who she is. Parker Posey, Wild Horse 9. If I have it winning, it should probably get a few more nominations. And Posey is the highest rated woman on there, or highest rated. I'm saying rated, highest billed women on the list that I know. Um, and then I have Octavia Spencer, Death of a Salesman, just because I think, yep, I don't really know again which supporting actresses to look at, and Death of a Salesman. Chinonya Chukwu can really knows how to direct actors. I think Spencer could happen. But and that's actually the end of this. Um, Final notes and stuff. Obviously Narnia and Dune 3, they're gonna show up a lot more in the text. Um, and then I think there's a movie called like Butterfly Jam that I just completely forgot about while putting it together and was too lazy to throw back in. And Barry Keoghan is in it. I think actually when I started putting it together, I thought it was a foreign film, and realized it was not. Um, but um, I think that is everything. So I guess in about 13 months, I'll come back to this and take a look and see how poorly I did. I think I did like one, maybe two out of five in most of the categories last year. And I don't think I'm going to do any better this year. So yeah, thanks for taking a look. Sorry I didn't do any like as much research as I would have liked. But I just wanted to get this out while I had time to even put the video together at all. And thank you. Bye.